Most wonderful time of the year. Sing it with me, everybody. And I'm not talking about baseball playoffs. It's hockey season. Welcome back to the Stadium Journey podcast. We're proud to be part of the HIAC Talk Radio Network. Check out all of Stadium Journey's 2,600 ballpark, arena, and stadium reviews on our website, stadiumjourney.com. Check us out on social media. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram at Stadium Journey. And for all you podcast fans, HIAC Talk Radio does more than just Stadium Journey. Follow us on Twitter at HIAC Talk Radio. Find all of our great podcasts at vocnation.com. And if you'd rather watch your sports talk, all of the HIAC Talk Radio podcasts are now available on YouTube for your viewing pleasure. And since it's playoff time in baseball and you can't tell the players without a scorecard, let's introduce the team. I'm Paul Baker. You can follow my Stadium Journeys on Twitter and Instagram at PuckmanRI. And with me, as always, is Dave Cotney. Dave, where can the people follow your journeys online?
You can follow me rocking the Kitchener Rangers hat because it's hockey season at ProFan9 on Twitter and Instagram.
And also slipping in at the last second, joining us, as always, it's Mark Viquez. Mark, where can our listeners follow your journeys online?
You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Ballpark Hunter.
And last but certainly not least is our producer coming to us today from Crotch Lake, Ontario. It's the above average comedian, Dan Calachico. Dan, where can our listeners follow you online?
Man, it smells in here. Follow me online. It's Handball 83.
And here to help us celebrate that most wonderful time of the year, again, I'm not talking about the baseball playoffs, guys, especially not this year. None of our teams made it. I'm talking about hockey season. It's Kelly Levy from Obey the Puck. Kelly, thanks for coming on. Where can our listeners follow you online?
Folks can follow me at Sked Central.
So today's topic is our favorite hockey experiences. So Dave, you're putting this together. Now, are we talking experiences or are we talking arenas? Or are we talking both?
Whatever you want. For me personally, an arena by itself without a game is like, who cares? So
that's true.
I'm glad we figured this out before we recorded.
I know.
For me, I'm going with experiences because, in some cases it's, and you guys know this, in some cases the fans bring something to the table. In some cases it's the architecture, it's the history, it's whatever. So whatever works for you.
Okay. And so I am going to start with the biggest hockey nerd out of all of that, and I mean this with all great respect. Kelly, you are an encyclopedia of hockey knowledge. So I'm going to start with you and what you would consider your favorite experiences among your travels.
Well, I love the minor leagues, so a lot of my favorites are minor leagues. But I do have some. I haven't visited that many NHL arenas, but I do have some really fun experiences there too. So, do you have a preference? Would you rather discuss NHL and then minor leagues, or just NHL?
Well, I'm not sticking to just NHL, so I'm going to say if it's good enough for me, it's good enough for you.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah,
okay.
I actually went with, since we were going with 4 as our number, I went with one from 4 different leagues. So
that works too.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of what I did, Dave.
FHL? Federal Hockey League?
How about I'm all over that.
I have been to
there
2
with
Federal
Rookie League
Hockey League
baseball.
arenas. I have been to 2.
All right.
All right. Well, I'll start with one of my favorites. Also, unfortunately, it's one of my older travels. I had a blast at what is now called, and this is a great name, Raising Cane's River Center Arena, and that is in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I had gone down to New Orleans for an annual trip. I used to make the trip down there around Halloween time. I desperately wanted to see some hockey, and of course the New Orleans Brass were not in town. So I rented a car and drove straight up I-10 to Baton Rouge and saw Baton Rouge take on Mobile. And it was so much fun. I got there really early because I don't like going somewhere where I don't know where I'm parking. I wound up parking directly behind the arena. When I ran into some really nice employees who were like, "Yeah, park here. You're fine. Don't worry about it." I met some people out front. When I told them I was a Richmond fan and I was from Virginia, they invited me to their tailgate and tailgating in hockey. I was like, "This is perfect." So I ate delicious food. Had at least one beer and then went inside and
At least.
I believe there was only one beer. I can't remember exactly. I had such a good time just talking to hockey fans, and that's ECHL at the time, and it was just great. Great food inside the arena. The arena itself reminded me, it looked exactly like Roanoke. Just kind of the same setup, rectangular, not very ornate or anything like that. But it was Halloween. The kids were there in their costumes. Everyone was just having a good time. It was a typical late '90s. Very early 2000s ECHL game. Lots of fights. Two teams that didn't like each other very much. It was fantastic. I have no idea who won the game. That's how good it was. And then another minor league trip, and again, just a great experience. I got to go see two games back to back in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And Fort Wayne is such a great hockey town. The team
awesome choice.
Yeah, the team's been there since 1952. They've been in every league imaginable, but it's always been the Comets. So there's just, with a K. I mean, they're fans. It reminded me a lot of Hershey in that way, that, you've got just generations of fans, people who've been bringing, they've come, their children have come, their grandchildren have come, they're all just, they love the Comets and they don't care what league they're in. They just want to come see the game. It was packed. And it was kind of a weird one. This was back when they were in the United Hockey League. And the two games that I went to see, they actually played the two teams. The one team lasted 1 year. The other team didn't even last the season. I saw the Kansas City Outlaws, who did last the year, and I saw the Columbus Stars, who didn't make it through the season.
Ooh, that's oldie. I remember that team.
But it just, back to back, going to the arena, having a great time with just passionate hockey fans. And I love going to a new place like that. And when you get there and the atmosphere is like that, it's just kind of sets itself in your memory banks, and it's just a good thing. I want to get back there so bad, and I loved Fort Wayne. I loved everything about it. And apparently they'll be there forever, so it's good.
Yeah.
Were you there before the renovations or after?
I have no idea when the renovations would have been.
I think they were 2002 when they raised the roof to its double deck.
You could probably figure it out based on the teams I saw. That sounds right.
Right about. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. There were two levels to it when I was there.
Okay.
Yeah. So okay, I'll skip to the NHL. And this one's experience, but also getting to the arena. Made the trip up to Madison Square Garden, and saw the Rangers play the Islanders. And it was great.
That's a nice time to go. Yeah,
that was great. The Islanders were horrible. The Rangers were probably pretty competitive at that point. And this was really more about the fans that I sat with. I sat in next to two crazy Islander fans who, as soon as I mentioned the Caps, just started crying about Dale Hunter. In the best possible way. It was fun. Just total New York City, just taking the piss out of me, and me giving it right back to them the entire game, having a great time. The game was pretty exciting, but this was more about just experiencing hockey with diehard hockey fans in the midst of a rivalry where I really didn't care either way which team won. I kind of wound up pulling for the Islanders just because I was sitting next to Islander fans, but it was fantastic. And this was right after they had done maybe probably not even the last round of renovations or updates to Madison Square Garden, but I had never been there before, so it was all new to me, but it looked great compared to how I had seen it on TV over the past a couple of seasons. But yeah, that was really fun. You know, there is something about Madison Square Garden. There's something to that mystique of the arena, and especially with the Rangers there, you've got such history.
I don't know. The last time I went to MSG, it kind of smelled like urine where I was, so I don't have fond memories.
Well, that would be New York City, yeah.
I'll actually be going there this Sunday, not for a sporting event. So I guess I will have to add. I will have something to add the next stadium journey, Dave.
Yeah, Madison Square Garden is definitely on a bucket list for sure. It should be anyway. It's well, hey, it's the world's most famous arena, right? And,
yep.
I'm not positive. I can't say I've done both, but I have a sneaking suspicion, like many other arenas, it's better for hockey than it is for basketball.
Mm.
Could be.
Isn't it more well known as a basketball place, though?
Yeah.
Well, here's my problem
Doesn't
going to
better, but yeah.
Here's my problem going to MSG to see hockey. You have to see the Rangers play. And when you despise a certain team since middle school, makes it very hard to go to. Now, the Knicks, on the other hand, no problem. But I think both experiences, hockey or basketball, would be awesome for anybody. But it's New York's a hockey Ranger town. Knicks slightly ahead of it, but I think it's a win-win situation no matter what. But for me, I'm a Devils fan. I do not want to see the Rangers play. And, that just sounds brutal.
And
unless they're losing.
Sorry, Mark. From what I heard, since they've done the renovations too, it's a completely different experience. I mean, I went there, maybe a dozen years ago before they did the Sky Bridge and before they widened all the concourses and before they added all the food stands. It was very cramped and crowded and tough to get around. So wasn't that, aside from the aura of it being MSG, didn't stand out to me. But and my seats smelled like urine. So yeah, it was, and the Bruins lost. So it was all around a bad experience. Well, they had Manny Fernandez in goal. So what can you expect?
You had no chance there of having a good time.
Yeah, exactly. Like 10 strikes against me.
Okay, so I guess Phil Collins is going to be great as it smells like piss.
No, we were kind of in a corner. I think that's what it had to do with. I think somebody behind us maybe had a few too many, and didn't want to go to the bathroom.
I've been outside MSG, and outside it smells like piss, but I couldn't tell if it was just New York or the fact that people pee on the side of the building.
So shall we, since we're on the topic of NHL, how about we take a ride around the league and see what some of our favorites are? Go for it, Dave.
Okay, so like I said, I picked four. I had a hard time going with a ranking of 1 to 4. So I ended up going with 4 from 4 different leagues. And the NHL. Sorry?
For a total of 16?
For a total of 16, no. 1 from 4 different leagues. And my top
like I
one,
said, Dave?
Sorry?
You mean like I said, Dave? God dang it. Go ahead.
Hey, I helped you out there. I listen. I listen to the people.
Like
I don't
you
listen
said,
to people.
It's good we worked this all out beforehand.
I listen to Dan, who sounds like all the people. He's loud enough to be all the people.
You're not the first one to say that. You're, by the way, Dave, just live. Your peas are popping hard.
My peas are popping hard. Okay.
On your mic, your peas are popping hard.
Okay. If I was a pro and I knew what that meant, I might be able to do something
Keep your
about
mic away from your mouth.
So anyway, back on task.
Dave, you're supposed to keep us on topic here.
Oh, okay. My spot was a tough one because I like a lot of those non-traditional ones. I love Nashville. I loved Tampa. I loved Vegas. But I went with a traditional one for my favorite, and my favorite was the United Center in Chicago.
Oh,
fine choice.
I think I was the beneficiary of just an amazing day. I went in 2008. I took my daughter and we did a March break trip. Did a bunch of stuff around Chicago. I saw the Bulls play also, which was a vast disappointment compared to the Blackhawks. And 08 was not too far. So not too far from when Bill Wirtz had died and young Rocky took over. And we all know as hockey historians that that was a huge time and Rocky became a hero. And one of the things that Bill Wirtz did was he alienated the alumni. And the night that we were there, they brought back Bobby Hull and Stan Mikita for the first time, and they rolled them out in these convertible Cadillacs. And I have never heard anything as loud in my life. To me, it was definitely the Madhouse on Madison. The fan experience was amazing. It's a huge arena, and for the Blackhawks, it was full. So, yeah, my favorite experience still, I don't know if it would still be if I went again, because I've only been once, but my favorite NHL experience is the United Center in Chicago.
That arena always seemed bigger than, along with the old Forum, Montreal Forum, and I'm completely doing a brain fart. It just seemed bigger it seemed bigger along with the legendary arenas that are no longer being used. It always seemed bigger. For instance, on WCW Nitro, they, at one point when that show was hot, they went to the United Center, I think 3 times in one calendar year, and sold it out, and was always more people there than other arenas because I think there's just more seats there. It just seemed larger than life than the other arenas when you're seeing it on TV, and I can only imagine the noise that it made.
Yeah, it's over 19,000. Probably not the biggest, but not too far off. And it's tall. It's really tall. Good. It's got great sight lines.
Yeah,
they're really really steep, so you're on top of the action. Great sight lines.
All right, I guess I'll go next. Since Mark, your mic's off, so I'm gonna go. So I know
I'm back on now. Back on now.
I'm going anyway.
No, go ahead.
I know you guys are all expecting me to pick the Boston Garden or something, but no, the Boston Garden was a hole. So I am going the opposite for my NHL pick, and I'm going to one of the newest arenas that I've been to, and that was Little Caesars Arena in Detroit. Now, I will be honest with you, I didn't have the best experience there for 2 reasons. The traffic was nuts, and I had an obstructed view seat, which made me very unhappy. But I got to tell you, if you haven't been there, the way that place has incorporated the history of the franchise with modern technology, like the giant video screens, not inside the arena, but outside on the concourse. You can be walking the concourse on one end, and if you look up over the concession stands, there's this giant video screen that takes up the whole thing, and one end of the arena is kind of open, so you can be down on the floor level, look up to the outside of the seating area, and see this giant video screen with highlights and stats and commercials and all kinds of different stuff. It's really cool, and they've incorporated the old statues from the Joe. They've got Gordie Howe and Ted Lindsay and Alex Del Vecchio, and I'm forgetting somebody.
Lindsay.
Yeah, I thought I said Lindsay, but maybe not. Oh. Yeah, all those guys, they're there. They've got signage from the old Olympia. If you go on the outside of the arena, they've got Dave. You've been there too, so you can help me out. They've got murals of like Isaiah Thomas and Yzerman and all those guys.
Yep.
Who?
Steve Yzerman.
Who?
What did I say?
There's never been a place I've been before that can so easily switch from one team to another. Like the banners, and I don't know why it took so long for someone to come up with this idea. The banners are like blinds. So if you want to drop the Red Wing banners and just have the Red Wing banners, you could do that. If it's the Pistons, you can hide the Red Wing banners and just have the Piston banners out. And
real banners, Dave.
And there's so many LCD contraptions out front. You can walk in and see only Pistons logos or only Red Wings logos. It's definitely a technological marvel.
Yeah, absolutely. And go ahead, Dan.
That's a bummer, because one of the things I like going up into the other arenas is seeing all of it. When you go to Philly, you see Sixers banners, you see the Flyers banners. Used to have, when the Wings and the Kicks. Yeah, I said Kicks, and they were all
really Kicks.
Yeah, they were all up there. So that's kind of it's a cool idea, but that kind of bums me out. I like looking up and seeing all of them.
Well, Little Caesars is definitely slanted towards the Red Wings. Like they got the statues that are always. There are no Piston statues. There's no Isaiah Thomas statue.
No, there's not.
No Rodman statue.
Yeah. If you look at like the manhole covers, the manhole covers are for the Pistons. So it's like the Pistons Hall of Fame are on manhole covers.
That sounds about white.
It's a little bit.
I hear what you did there, Dan.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Little Caesars and. The drawback of Little Caesars Arena is, they've got kind of a ballpark entertainment district going there in Detroit, but Little Caesars is on kind of the wrong side of the tracks, literally. You've got, is that I-75, Mark? You probably know. And the ballpark and the football stadium and like the Fox Theater and everything and Hockey Town Cafe are on one side. Little Caesars is all by itself on the other side. But when they were doing just massive amounts of construction when I went there 2 years ago. So I imagine that when it's all complete, it's going to be an entire mega neighborhood. So I think it's going to get even better once it's been lived in a little bit.
Yeah. I just can't believe people are in Detroit. 20 years ago, nobody was in Detroit. Now everybody's moving into Detroit. It's such a cool place to live in. All these happy millennials skipping around town. But that's good. That's what.
Well, 20 years ago, they were skipping around because they were high on heroin, right?
Yeah, I don't. It's amazing how that city is turning it around. So that's good to see, though. I'm happy.
So, how about you, Mark? What's your choice for best NHL experience?
Oh, this is easy. 1993, I was in Montreal with my parents, and there was a scalper, and he was selling tickets to the Montreal Canadiens game at the Old Forum. And he was charging $54, and I said, "Oh, that's too much money." My mom goes, "Mark, you're in Montreal. You got to see a hockey game. That's what you do." She bought me the ticket. She dropped me off at the game. I walk in through this narrow concourse. I'm used to the Brendan Byrne Arena being wide open. Narrow concourse. You walk down the stands. You see these 23 Stanley Cup banners hanging up. You see the place filling in with fans. I'm walking, and all of a sudden, my ticket is about 6 rows behind the Montreal bench. There's Patrick Waugh. There's Kirk Muller. I'm like, wow, I am someplace special. And till this day, that probably ranks out of the 4 major sports one of the best experiences that I ever had. And I just want to thank my mom for buying me that ticket, because I wasn't going to buy it. And she talked me into it. So wonderful experience. They just don't make those arenas like that anymore. And I got to enjoy one night of watching hockey. It's the place was dripping with so much history. And if I hate to be cliche, but if those walls can talk, my God, they'd probably be speaking French. But they would tell me a lot that has happened at the Forum. But that place was narrow, but they packed everybody in. And then when the Canadiens scored a goal, the horn was like the loudest I've ever heard in my life. And everybody was just so into the game, unlike at the time going to a Devils game where, the Brendan Byrne Arena was so darn big. This place was just oozing with hockey. So that is my favorite NHL experience of all time.
Very nice. I'm glad one of us got Montreal.
Yeah, that's all for my mom. I wasn't going to go.
Yeah. You paid $50 and got a seat behind the bench?
Yes.
That's unreal.
that's 20 years ago, right?
26 years ago. Yeah. That's 1993. And I showed up there with my Devils jersey because that's what you did. And a bunch of people said, "Hey, Jacques Lemaire, he's doing some good things down there." So, nobody bothered me.
And so our thoughts go out now to Guy Lafleur, who's recovering from quadruple bypass surgery. So hope he comes through all right as we start another hockey season. So let's move on down.
Greatest hair in hockey history.
LaFleur means the flower.
It does.
Another great Miller Lite commercial.
There's an Obey the Puck episode for you. Greatest hair in hockey history.
Rick Middleton, when he used to have it.
The episode's over. Good night.
There you go. Thanks
Ally Afraidy. Done.
Ow, boy. Ally Afraidy. Ally Afraidy never took the ice for the national anthems.
Scott Hartnell.
Yeah, good hair too. Long curly.
You can't pick someone.
Yeah.
You can't pick someone who wore a helmet.
You can't make up rules, Mister.
Yes, I can.
Crosby had his number retired through the whole queue.
Oh God.
I win.
Okay,
there goes the hour-long episode.
Who's next? Let's go.
All right, so let's drop down a level now to the AHL. And the consensus before the show was nobody can pick Hershey, right?
No, anybody can pick whatever they want.
No.
Can I go? Because mine's quick and it's obvious.
Okay, Lehigh Valley.
No, nothing was better than seeing a Phantoms game at the Spectrum. Nothing, zero, zilch. There's nothing you can tell me. Nothing you say.
That was good.
Even with Lehigh Valley having a Tim Hortons, so I could get Tim Bits. There is nothing better. Thank you, Dave. There's nothing better than seeing a Phantoms game those years at the Spectrum before they left. Going to a Phantoms game now, I love the Phantoms. Obviously, I will never not support the Phantoms. And I love Lehigh Valley. It is not the same as atmosphere, and it's not the same feel anymore.
I'll agree with you, Dad. I went to a few games there at the Spectrum, and
I
love that team gave us a second chance to enjoy that old building.
I can only imagine it was like watching the Flyers. Yeah, and I'll say that in the 70s and 80s, that feeling in that building.
Well, they used to sell out the Flyers, and then they would also sell out the Phantoms on the same night.
Abso-friggin-lutely.
My mom told me that. She was down there for a conference, and she came back with this information.
The only thing better, before we go to Kelly, the only thing better than them selling out on the same night, which happened on occasion, which would be, an afternoon game and an evening game.
Yes.
Would be a game. We got spoiled in Philly when the Phantoms got broadcasted because you have a Flyers game one night, the Phantoms game the next night. Flyers game one night, Phantoms game the next. Oh, my God. Spoiled. I come to Washington. I could barely get Capitals games when I first moved down here, for crying out loud. Anyway, Kelly, go. AHL.
All right, well, I'm picking Hershey Park Arena.
And of course you have to pick Hershey Park Arena. It is the greatest, the stupendous arena of all time.
Well, it is. It's a team that I support, the team I love, but I'm also picking it because I was there for a historic game. I was at Hershey Park Arena for the final win at Hershey Park Arena, which was a miserable experience because it was the first round playoffs against the Norfolk Admirals, and it was a hot day. Really miserably hot days, and you know how great Hershey Park Arena was dealing with the heat. I mean, because there were fans, so it was just brutally humid in there, and it actually wound up fogging over on the ice.
I was going to ask you, Kelly, did it get foggy in there when it got?
Yeah, it got incredibly foggy on the ice there. The game went to overtime, and the Norfolk goalie actually suffered really terrible dehydration. He actually was pulled after the regular the third period, and they put in another goalie because he could not continue. I will never forget the scream that guy let out trying to get off the ice after the third period. It was just pure agony. But the Bears won. I didn't see the goal. None of us could see the goal. Only the guys on the ice could see the goal.
The goalie never saw it either.
But I will never forget that arena packed, and the sound. It only held maybe 7,000, even with standing room, but I've never been at a louder experience. Just the pure roar and the immediate bounce off the concrete and back down onto the ice. It was fantastic. but I was never happier to get outside of Hershey Park Arena where it was literally 30 degrees cooler and there was air. But it was amazing. Yeah, they got swept in the next round, so they never won again at Hershey Park Arena.
Let me just add to this. I'm not a religious person by any stretch of the imagination. I have been to Hershey Park Arena with Kelly during the second to last outdoor game they had in Hershey. They had Hershey Park Arena open, and I will tell you, it's one of those buildings that you walk into, and as soon as you walk through the door, and I hate the Bears, I hate you guys. You feel that history hits you like a brick wall. Sarcastically, I'm not talking about the smell because it smells like old hockey in there.
Oh yeah.
But boom, the wall hits you and you feel over 50, 60, 70, 80 years of history in that building. It's an incredible feeling.
Like Gordie Howe said, anyone in hockey has played in Hershey.
I'm not going to argue with him.
Yeah. You'd punch you in the face if you didn't. Give me an elbow. All right, Mark, how about you? AHL? You got an AHL pick?
It's Hershey Park Arena for me as well. There's just nothing better than that. Just the history, whatever we said, that just smacks you right in the face. But I also like Giant Center. I think that is the perfect vessel for minor league hockey. You look at some of the places in San Antonio and Cleveland, those are NBA arenas. This was built for the hockey team. This was built as, hey, this is the main tenant. 10,000 seats. It doesn't have the charm. It doesn't have the history, but it has the fans. It has the concessions. It has the ambiance. It has that awesome gift shop where you can buy all sorts of cool Hershey Bears products. And I love the fans there. They get on and the referees. They tell them what they feel. Some hockey games, people are just out there to have a wonderful little time with the kids. These Hershey Bear fans are out there to see some blood. They're out there to see their team win. So, Giant Center, just in the same complex with the old Hershey Park Arena, is a great, further continuation of the Bears hockey in Central PA. Wonderful time. Tickets are a little bit pricier than I think your normal AHL venue, but that place usually leads the league in attendance. I know San Diego last year led the league, but they're up there. They're up there with
always in the
attendance.
top 5. Yeah.
Yeah. So wonderful.
Probably
place.
always in the top 3. Let me correct that.
Yeah, and Fort Wayne too. If you put Fort Wayne in the AHL, they would probably draw near the top as well. So,
Dave, do you have an AHL pick? I know you're not much of an A guy. We're going to get to you when we hit juniors.
Oh yeah. Oh.
AHL?
Yes.
There you go.
No.
Oh,
Okay.
No,
Not the
it wasn't one of my
Marlies?
four.
No Marlies.
I like the Coliseum's okay. The
Okay.
Giant Center's okay, but it wasn't one of my 4.
See, for the AHL, I was also going to pick Hershey Park Arena, and the Giant Center. The Giant Center also, Mark. I reiterate what you said. It is of the current arenas that I've been to, and I've been to half the league. I've been to 15 of them. It is my favorite. And for all the reasons that you said, and Kelly and Dan, I can't add anything new to what you said. My one drawback is I hate arenas that are surrounded by parking lots.
Mm.
That's a minor thing.
Oh God, the parking is so bad.
And the way they make you go around and around and around. I was like,
I think it was like $9 to pay, $10. Yeah.
Well, for as much as we talk about convenient parking, I kind of don't. I want it around the friggin' arena. I'm sorry, Kelly. Go ahead.
No, I was just complaining about the parking as well. It's terrible. It's always been terrible, however.
See, Dan, I would rather park a mile away for free and then walk through city streets in the dark.
Yeah. I love parking for free.
It feels like you got over on the team.
Yeah, you really can't do that there. I mean, especially at night when it's foggy. You don't know your way around.
Go see a game at Flint. You'll be like, please take my money.
Oh, yeah, Flint. Yeah. Oh, boy.
Okay, the Flint Mega Bowl. Do we have any picks from the low minors? I actually did pick somebody from the ECHL as well. But if no, all right, so I'll go real quick. My favorite. What? Huh?
Just want to make sure Kelly has something.
Oh, I have an ECHL team, but I went over let Paul go.
Okay.
And I'll chime in briefly.
Okay. So my pick was Toledo, the Huntington Center.
Yeah, it's a good
Went
place.
last year, brand new arena. We actually were lucky enough to stay downtown. We actually stayed like right next to the baseball park, and all the buildings are connected in the winter. So we just walked inside, and it was a freezing night out. We walked all the way, and all of a sudden, boom, we're in the Huntington Center. It's not a completely open concourse, but it was like on one end, I think it was open, and they had very affordable concessions. It was a really nice place to catch a game. A lot of energy. We were there. It was a sold out crowd. So, excuse me, about what 7,000 I would estimate it sits, and just a lot of energy and a lot of fun and affordable. It was great ECHL. It's everything that the low minors is supposed to be.
Yeah, and that felt like another arena built for hockey. They had that one end that was opened, and I remember you got this beautiful view of the arena. The concession prices were among the cheapest that I can recall from any minor league program,
and quality good stuff too. Yeah,
quality stuff. Yeah, right in downtown, walkable from bars. I mean, I don't know what people say about it on the hockey boards, but I had a good time there as well. So that good choice. I agree with you.
Thank you. Kelly, how about you? You had one?
Oh yeah, I was in Toledo and they were just wrapping up building that new arena, and so I've never had a chance to go to it. I was so impressed with the construction, so I can only imagine how great it is inside. And Toledo, another city that's had hockey for so long, so you've got this great fan base that's just ready to go support the team. My favorite ECHL arena is actually Reading. I know it's fallen off quite a bit from what it was when I went pretty regularly. They were still drawing pretty big crowds. I just love that arena. I think it's perfect for the ECHL with just the one level, and you walk up and then you walk down to your seats no matter where your seats are. I really like that, and I like the area as well.
I found it was really dark when I visited there. Was it that way when you visited too?
I can see that.
Yeah, it is a dark arena.
Okay, Mark, did you have an ECHL pick?
Well, I mean, Fort Wayne's an ECHL team, but we talked about that. I went to Kalamazoo to see a game. I don't think that's one of the greatest arenas, but I was there for their St. Patrick's Day where they dye the ice green and the place is packed, and it gets loud in there. It's just insane, and it's an older arena. It's like 40. It's not too old, about 45 years old. It just has that hockey barn smell.
That 70s vibe, definitely.
That 70s vibe. I guess that's what I like about it. It's a very small venue. It's not that big. It's like you walk into this narrow concourse and you go out to your seats. They got this giant hockey board that seems almost as big as the arena.
Yeah, it's like the whole rink.
The whole rink, and it moves around in different directions, from what they were telling me. The press box area is very, very rudimentary. It's just a basic venue for hockey. But when that place is packed and, they got the Pied Pipers out there and then they got the $2 beer specials on St. Patty's Day, man, that was a ride and a half. I loved it there. So that was just a nice, pleasant memory. I'm just afraid to go back there because I may go back on a very, desolate night there. So.
Were you telling me, Mark, that because they have their old IHL championship banners hanging on the wall
that are yellow,
and if you were to peel them back, you would see clean behind it because they're stained with cigarette smoke from over the years.
You're absolutely right. Those look like they were put up there the year they won it. You know how some people redo the banners? Those look like the original banners, like the 1978 Turner Cup. Yeah. That looks like it's 40-some years old.
Awesome. So, Dave, how about we dip into the Canadian juniors? Because I know you're going to have a couple of favorites over there, right?
Well, I stuck with one Canadian junior favorite.
Let me guess.
I have struggled with this a long time. Go ahead, Mark. Take your guess.
Kitchener.
It's Kitchener.
I don't know. Okay, that's fine.
I'm going to be the homer, and like I said, I struggled with this a long time when I came on with Stadium Journey. One of the things that I really pushed was getting the OHL on the site. And as I was traveling through the league, which I've done the whole league myself.
Thank you.
It was a struggle for me because I didn't want to be the homer. And then I read this guy, Kevin Jordan. He has a site called the OHL Arena Guide, and he's a London guy. And London guys and Kitchener guys, they don't mix.
Oh, yeah, I know.
The London guy picked Kitchener as the best arena. And I had to, you know what, I finally had to say, yeah, it's the best. The whole experience. In Kitchener-Waterloo, Friday night is Kitchener Rangers night. It's a community-owned team, so it's actually owned by the season ticket holders. Eugene George bought the team from the New York Rangers and then gave the team to the season ticket holders. It was, it'd be worth millions and millions now. But that community ownership has, and it's actually forced the team to stay in the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium. The odd is, of course, it's a living memorial to those local World War II veterans and World War I veterans. And there is history in that place everywhere. The CHL is a really challenging league. There are few teams that are dominant for very long periods of time. I mean, London has been a bit of an exception. But you can see the names that have come through this place. Bill Barber, Larry Robinson, Al McInnes, Scott Stevens, and those are like the Hall of Fame guys. They're not even the big guys locally. The most points were scored by Dwight Foster, who ended up going to the Bruins. A guy by the name of Andre Benoit is the best defenseman point-wise that has ever played for the Rangers. In the concourses, they've taken the girders, the I-beams, and they've painted player names, significant Ranger player names, not significant to the NHL, significant to the Rangers. And they've run out of I-beams. Like, it is, you could spend just hours walking around just looking at stuff. It was built like a little mini Maple Leaf Gardens, holds 7,000, over 7,000. They get 7,000 like all the time. And it's truly an experience of itself.
Wow.
Your love for the place comes through because I end up putting your reviews up on the site, and I don't think you're being a homer by saying that Kitchener is your favorite place. I think it looks like one of those places. If you're going to do some CHL hockey, that's got to be on your short list.
Yeah, and closely linked to Stadium Journey for me, it was the very first Stadium Journey review I wrote, and the day that I went to write the review, the Prime Minister of Canada was in attendance too. So
nice.
That was pretty funky.
So let's see. So Dave, you said you had 4 favorites, and we've heard of an NHL and a CHL. I'm guessing there's a college one in there.
The last 2 are college ones.
Okay.
One north of the border and one south.
All right. So let's stay in Canada for that one. And then we'll dip south of the border because I've got some college hockey too.
So my north of the border is one that I've talked about a fair bit, and I think, Mark, you've been there. It's Mattamy Home Ice at the Mattamy Athletic Center at the Gardens. It's the home of the Ryerson Rams.
Okay, yeah.
And it used to be Maple Leaf Gardens.
Yeah.
And it's to me, it's the best repurposing.
Way that this is still a thing. No, I mean that positively. I love that. They should do more of that instead of knocking them down.
Absolutely.
50, 20 years.
Like
ridiculous.
The movie theater that's at the Forum now, or whatever the heck that. Oh,
yeah, the Forum has a movie theater in there, and it's a little bit worse for wear. I mean, they need some work on the Forum, but yeah, the Mattamy Athletic Center. So Maple Leaf Gardens is protected by the Heritage Foundation. It could never be torn down because it's a historical monument. So then it became what to do with it. And the Loblaws company was going to make it into a grocery store. And it just toiled away for the longest time. And then Ryerson University partnered with Loblaws and bought a share of it. And they made it their athletic center. And at the top level is the hockey arena. And it has that old, iconic Maple Leaf Gardens roof. Not the same as Madison Square Garden, but when you go to Madison Square Garden, you think of that roof, that ceiling, right? Yeah. It's just so unique. Same with the Gardens. and they've got, I want to say 8,000 seats up there. There's pictures everywhere, old Maple Leaf Gardens pictures from, the Leafs days, of course. They got Dave Keon riding the very first escalator ever at Maple Leaf Gardens. They've got when the Pope was there, when the Beatles were there, when wrestling was there, when Muhammad Ali was there. Like, you could just go in without a game ever being on and just walk around and catch everything. Canadian University hockey doesn't bring out the big crowds. If you hit a Toronto Varsity Blues and Ryerson Rams game, you're going to have a little bit of a buzz, or a York Ryerson game, a little bit of a buzz. But yeah, it's just an amazing place.
Nice, yeah, and Dan, you're right on, man. Why can't they do that with more of these old places?
I downloaded MLB The Show because it's free. The last one, with Bryce Harper on the cover, and they have something that I wish the hockey get, because NHL 20 is fantastic, but they have the alumni teams, but they don't have the old arenas.
Oh yeah.
Which I assume is naming rights and stuff that they just didn't have. So I'm not like, God damn it, EA. But MLB The Show has old stadiums. They have Shibe Park, Griffith in D.C., original Yankee Stadium, and they have old Atlanta. And they call old Atlanta, which was which one was built in 97? Was that Fulton County?
No, that's
Turner Field.
Field. 97! And they're getting another one? Stop it! Stop it!
Hey, in Texas, they just played their last game in a ballpark that was built in
94.
94. Yeah.
Somebody said, because the Wells Fargo Center for the Flyers have gotten all these upgrades, like, just tear it down. I'm like, it's 22 years. It's 24 years.
Not that old.
25 years old. Shut up.
You're going to triple the cost by tearing it down and rebuilding it.
Well, how old was the vet when they knocked that down? 30?
71 to 2003.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's
gone are the days waiting 60, 70 years. 20 years? Get the F out of here.
Now, Turner Field, they actually, Georgia State bought it, and it's a football stadium now. So it's not, they didn't razz that. Globe Life, I think they have a plan for it. I don't think they're going to tear it down. Apartments or something? Or
I don't know.
Yeah, it's still ridiculous that they're getting another one.
Yeah. All right. So if unless I'm miscounting, I think we got a couple of places left to talk about, and I believe they're all college arenas. Am I right, or does anybody have something else?
Oh no, I have some juniors, and two of them are no longer. Go ahead,
Mark. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the two juniors in the OHL. Two of them are no longer with us. One was the London Ice House in London. Not the most fanciest junior arena, but when I went there, it was something I've never seen before. It just felt so antiquated. And, once again, here was a small little bandbox of people standing on top of each other. And it had that hockey barn smell. But however, my favorite is the Windsor Arena, which was, I think, the original home of the Detroit Red Wings, or when they were called the Falcons in the 1920s. This is a classic old barn that is no longer with us as well. And it was such a obsolete facility that the hockey players would walk across the concourse to get from the dress room to the ice, and they would have people put up these giant wooden plaques to block your entrance. But that was just part of the charm. And then when you walked up to the top of the seating area, it was just wooden bleacher seats, just very, very primal up there. It wasn't anything spectacular, but I mean, I guess when you're watching hockey in Canada, that's what you think. You think of old time hockey in places like that. But the new places are much better. I grant you that. But those were two just classic places that still kind of stick out to me. The smells and the visions.
Yeah, there's nothing like walking into those old rinks and that. Like Dan had said it about Hershey Park, the hockey smell.
Yeah.
Stuck in the walls and in the seats.
You really don't have that here in a lot of places in the States. It's you have to go up in Canada to experience that, especially Ontario. I mean, there's tons of just small junior hockey places that kind of are off the radar, but man, they're just gorgeous to walk into.
All right, so I guess we're going to wrap up our discussion with a couple of hockey rinks south of the border. Dave, let me guess. I know you've talked about a couple of good ones, so there's two I'm thinking you might be picking. What's your choice for your best NCAA rink?
My best NCAA rink is actually my most favorite hockey experience, and that is
Michigan.
Ann Arbor, Michigan, Yost Ice Arena, home of the Michigan Wolverines. It used to be the basketball facility before they built Chrysler Arena in, I believe, the 70s. So it's this old field house that they basically wedged a hockey rink into, and it's tight, and the band is in there, blowing the roof off of the place, and the students. I mean, junior hockey is one thing. It is not comparable to college hockey because the students just make such an atmosphere. They make such a spectacle of everything, every goal. They pull out their newspapers and start reading it when the other team is being introduced, or they'll stand up and turn and face the other way, or they introduce a guy from Michigan State and everybody else, who cares, or he sucks, or whatever. It really hit me, and actually I've never done Yost by itself. I've always gone as part of a doubleheader where I went and saw basketball in the afternoon. So I'm always in a good mood after that. And the one that really hit me, one time we walked in, and the ushers there are old-time guys, old-time hockey guys, and they're very friendly and very welcoming. And the guy says, how's it going? And I said, oh, it's going to be a great day. And he goes, yeah, of course it is. You're at Yost. And that just hit it right on. And I think it's fitting that a legendary place like Yost, they haven't renamed, but they've renamed the ice surface after their legendary coach who just retired a couple years ago, Red Berenson. So, yeah, totally Yost is my favorite. I brought my brother-in-laws down. We did a road trip for Christmas, and they were both like, oh my gosh, this is like the best hockey experience ever. So, yeah, Yost for me.
Yeah. And I got to say, as I get ready to wrap this up and try to speak clearly, when I was thinking about my favorite hockey experiences, so many college games rose to the top. And, I've been to almost half of the Division I arenas, so I think I can really speak on the subject. And there were so many good ones, and a couple of my favorites are Songus Arena at UMass Lowell and Agganis Arena at Boston University. But my absolute favorite hockey experience year in and year out is the Beanpot Tournament at the TD Garden. Now, and for many of the reasons you were just saying, Dave, the best part of college hockey is the student section and the pep bands and just the energy that they bring. Now, you go to the Beanpot, which is held on two Mondays of all days, in February when there's nothing else going on. It's it's right after the Super Bowl, so we're all hungover in Boston lately, but and they play it at the Garden. So you've got college games, two games going on, the four Boston teams. For those of you who don't know, the Beanpot has the four Boston City college hockey teams. So you got Boston University, Boston College, you got Northeastern, and you got Harvard. They play two double headers on two consecutive Mondays. And so it's city bragging rights. So the whole city of Boston turns out for this thing. All four schools bring their student sections, and they bring their mascots, and they bring their cheerleaders sometimes, and they bring their bands. And it's just this noise and this banter between student sections that are sitting right on top of each other, side by side in some cases. And like the Northeastern section takes up a quarter of the upper deck. The BU section takes up a quarter of the upper deck. And they're side by side while they're playing, just going back and forth, riffing on each other. It's just so much fun. And if you talk to a lot of players, the NHL is littered with guys who played college hockey in Boston. And if you talk to them about what their favorite experiences are, so many of them talk about the Beanpot as being their favorite. So just to go, and you see a whole night of hockey, of high quality hockey, because at least two of these teams are always in the top 20.
Yeah, I know you're not a huge college football guy or college basketball guy, Paul, but I've been to big-time college football. I've been to big-time college basketball. And the student sections there are great. They might be triple, quadruple the size of a student section at a hockey game, the hockey students are better. They're more invested. They need to have more knowledge. They need to know what exactly happens at what time. And it's not like, going to Wisconsin where you just have to know when to do the jump around. Or, at Michigan State where they just yell, go green, go white at each other, right? Like you have to know exactly what's going on at a hockey game. You have to know what to say when the goals are scored. You have to know what to say when somebody goes to the penalty box. You have to know what to do when the other team is being introduced.
It's choreographed, yeah.
Yeah.
And in Northeastern and in BU, you've got two of the loudest and most involved student sections in the country. So that's always a lot of fun watching them compete with each other. If you ever go to a Northeastern hockey game, Dave, I know you're talking about maybe going there, but if they go to overtime, be careful, because in overtime, everybody takes their shirts off, even the women.
Okay.
I actually was there one time. I said, what's up with this? They say, it's past our bedtime, so we got to get undressed. I don't know what it is. So the bean pot would be my choice, not only for the NCAA, but I think it's my favorite place to go see a hockey game. My favorite experience. So, did we miss anybody's favorites before we wrap up today? I guess I'll take that silence.
I can't think of. I was going to add Miami University of Ohio, but I haven't been to too many college venues. But that was, like you said, the student section makes that facility a real fun time. So, but no, I think we covered all I had to say.
All right. So let's really quickly, because we're up against it here. Trips for the last couple of weeks. Mark, where have you been the last couple of weeks here?
Well, I was up at Target Field a few weekends ago to check out the Twins. I was able to sneak off from a wedding. And, every time I go there, it's just a really nice place to watch a baseball game. Some people hate it. Other people will come up and say, hey, you got to check out Target Field. It's not too bad. It has a nice array of food. It's located in a part of town that's easily accessible by all forms of mass transit and walking. Hotels, bars. You have breweries and restaurants nearby that are packed with fans before the game. Easy to walk around. They have the Town Ball Tavern. Get yourself something to eat there. That's a little bit different than what you get at the ballpark. It's just a really nice, well-designed facility. And, it's something that, people in Minnesota like when your team's winning. It's beautiful weather outside. Can't think of a better place to be than maybe CHS Field over in St. Paul. But that was I was glad I was able to get up there this year because, short trip. And, when you take these short trips, you want to check out some games. And then I had checked out Cincinnati Reds. Another very nice little ballpark. Not on my list as one of my favorites, but probably one of the cheapest places you can watch a baseball game. I think tickets are $10 to $12. If you want to be really cheap, buy a $6 ticket and sneak downstairs. When it opened back in 2003, it was, very fancy, but I think you can use a little upgrade here and there on the cleaning. But beautiful scenery. You're right along the Ohio River. You have a little neighborhood next door that, is packed before the games, the Rose Garden with the statues outside near the Hall of Fame. So there's nice little touches in Cincinnati that make that trip worthwhile. So 2 Major League Baseball games as the season came to an end for me.
Nice. Good way to end the season.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Dave? Anywhere, any trips the last couple of weeks?
Well, I also wrapped up the baseball season, so I had a game at Comerica Park. And last game of the season at the Rogers Center, which was on a Monday, and they decided to go to extra innings, and I was really tired at work on Tuesday. Also got to kick off the hockey season, so the Rangers kicked off their season on the 20th. Took my nephew, and we had a blast, and the Rangers won in overtime, so he went crazy, and a good time was had by all. It was homecoming on Saturday at Laurier, so the football Golden Hawks sort of woke up from their slumber and won in a must-win game, But probably the highlight of my visits was to Dick Stadium, home of the Kent State Golden Flashes. So it's not a bad. Look, you gotta love Maction. Maction's all good. Great price points, and it's pretty exciting stuff. They blew the doors off of Bowling Green. I don't think they knew what hit them. But a decent spot. They have a nice Hall of Fame plaza there, and some of their Hall of Famers are pretty awesome. That crazy James Harrison, who played for the Steelers, was undrafted coming out of Kent State. Josh Cribbs was a quarterback at Kent State and then got to the NFL and told he couldn't be a quarterback. Julian Edelman was a quarterback at Kent State and got to the NFL and told he couldn't be a quarterback. And then probably the be-all, end-all of Kent State football was Jack Lambert. But good spot. It's right in there, fits right in with that conference, and I hope that conference doesn't change too much. All those schools seem to just fit nicely together. Same sort of experience. So
Nice.
that was me.
Nice. I had a quiet couple of weeks. I did go to not the debut, but the second Division I game ever for the Merrimack Warriors. Now, Merrimack is a tiny little school, little Catholic school of total enrollment about 3,500 people, just north of Boston in the northern suburbs in Andover, Massachusetts. They elevated all their sports programs to Division I starting this year. So they built a stadium, Dwayne Stadium it's called, for a football stadium. It serves as home to the football, lacrosse, soccer, track, and field hockey teams. And I think I'm forgetting somebody. So it's a multi-purpose place. It's got the track around the field, stands, just one grandstand on one side. Stadium seats 4,000 people, so you could fit every student at Merrimack in this place. One of your pet peeves, Dave, is lines everywhere because it does so many sports. It's got lines everywhere. They've actually, for the first couple of games, really been packing them in. They sold out their first game, and good crowd for this one, I think about 3,500. And they played Mayville State from North Dakota, a Division II team, and beat them 76-6. So it wasn't exactly a close game. But good to see another Division I place. Why would a small school like this elevate all their sports to Division I? I guess there's some money to be made. They played Division I hockey all along. But now they're moving everybody up. They're going to be in the Northeastern Conference, which is one of the smaller FCS conferences. So that was last Saturday. And then I also started hockey season. Caught the Providence Bruins playing at the Dunkin' Donuts Center. We've discussed the dunk ad nauseum here. There's nothing new going on there. This year, last year they debuted a giant scoreboard. Still there. Nothing else is new. So that was the dunk. Dan, you or Kelly have any trips the last couple of weeks to share?
I went to work and I came home. Kelly went to work and she came home.
And you can find reviews of Dan and Kelly's job sites at stadiumjourney.com.
I will be going to Madison Square Garden for the one, the only, and the great Phil Collins. So I will have the Madison Square Garden review.
And where can our listeners follow you online, Dan, as you follow Phil Collins around?
You are not far off from that, sir. Dan Law 83.
I actually had Easy Lover stuck in my head all day today. So
great song.
I mean, if you're going to get a song stuck in your head, so that
Pretty
would be
good
one.
one.
The rest of that album, no, copyright mark.
So I can't control myself.
The rest of that album from Philip Bailey, not great.
Great Wall of China, is that what it's called?
Chinese walls, not
Chinese walls. Okay.
that was pretty close.
Yeah.
Walking on a Chinese. No one's going to care about that.
All right. And I'm assuming is Kelly still with us?
Yes, I'm
She
sure.
left.
No.
Any travels for you coming up or gone by?
Oh, coming up, I hope. It won't be until November for me, but I'll definitely get up to Hershey, and I desperately want, after hearing Dave talk about juniors, I desperately want to go and do an OHL arena tour, because I've never seen any Canadian junior hockey, and I've always wanted to. I've seen 3 of the arenas in the dead of summer, but yeah, I really want to get up and see not just OHL teams, but like you were talking, like every other town has their team. I'd love to go spend like 2-3 weeks and just go see hockey games every other night.
That'd be fantastic. Where can our listeners follow you, Kelly?
Oh, folks can follow me at Sked Central.
All right, Mark, any stadium journeys planned for you, and where can our listeners follow you online?
Well, that's a good question. I have to get out to Eastern Illinois sometime soon. I have to look at the schedule, but there's a Division III football team called Wabash College, and they are one of the higher ranked places to see a game per average. So I may head up there. It looks like a small little venue, but it has like the campus buildings surrounding it. So it's about an hour from me, and I've been thinking about going there for a while. So they're playing this Saturday, so maybe I'll head up there. And I have two friends who are going to be in London. One's going to see Tottenham at the new stadium, and one's going to see football. I guess the Bears and Raiders are playing this weekend, so they're going to tell me all about it so they can write a review for it. So you can follow me and all that good stuff on Twitter or Instagram at Ballpark Hunter.
Excellent. And Dave, any stadium journeys planned for you, and where can our listeners follow you online?
Yeah, the Canadian University hockey season kicks off this weekend, so it's back to the Sun Life Arena for me for some Laurier hockey. Football is still in high gear. I'm going to follow the Golden Hawks down to Windsor to Alumni Field at the University of Windsor Stadium for the website. It's one of our few OUA football spots that we don't have a review of yet. Battle of Waterloo for football is coming up just before Canadian Thanksgiving. So it'll be Warrior Field for that. And yeah, it's some more Laurier hockey. So lots of Laurier hockey coming up. You can follow all of that at ProFan9 on Twitter and Instagram.
Nice. And I've got a real busy weekend coming up. Saturday, I'm heading to New Haven to see the Yale Bulldogs at the Yale Bowl. And after that, heading up to Hartford for the Hartford Wolfpack season opener. So I haven't decided if we're going to get an Abbeats in New Haven or if we're going to go get a Naughty Nurse up in Hartford. Either way, you can't lose. And then on Sunday, I'm trying to convince my wife to head back into Connecticut. She's got a low tolerance for Connecticut. So
doesn't everybody?
Yeah.
No.
But, well,
Kelly,
we're trying to...
you had such a low tolerance, you left when you were 2.
I didn't have a choice, but I love Connecticut.
It's like a vaccination. You got just enough. But anyway, on Sunday, I want to get back into Connecticut because Game 3 of the WNBA Finals between Washington and the Connecticut Sun is at Mohegan Sun Arena on Sunday. So I'm trying to get back for that.
Nice.
And then the following weekend is a big one because I'm beginning yet another side gig. And if you guys aren't aware, I'm going to be starting as the PA announcer for the NWHL's Boston Pride. So their home season starts the following weekend at Warrior Ice Arena in Boston. They play Saturday and Sunday against the Buffalo Beauts. You can follow all my stadium journeys on Twitter and Instagram at PuckmanRI.
I just want to add, I told Kelly, and I'm telling her live on the air, that I wanted to get a Metro Riveters jersey, and then the Connecticut Whale released their jersey, and I've changed my mind.
Oh, wow.
So are all the teams doing a new 5th anniversary jersey?
I don't know, but they went green. The Whale did. And
I liked when they had the green ones before, yeah.
I want. They basically, they sharpened up the striping, but it's brand new. But that Riveters jersey with the stripes on the sleeves and on the socks,
pretty sharp.
that's one of the best hockey jerseys this year.
This was fun. We should get together all next week and do the same thing and maybe talk about jerseys.
Hey, let's do that next week.
Because I'm the king of segues and you never let me finish, Dave. It's next week we're going to talk all about jerseys. Right, Paul Baker?
How dare you? Right. It's usually my job to direct.
Well, wait a second. We're not talking New Jersey, are we? Because I think I've been there, done that one.
No, we're done.
We can always talk about New Jersey.
Talking about New Jerseys.
North Jersey, not South, not 609.
Sports jerseys. It's not 609, it's 856.
All right, folks. Even if you're not in New Jersey, you're welcome to check out our website, stadiumjourney.com, or follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Stadium Journey. Follow HIAC Talk Radio at HIAC Talk Radio. I mean, just like it sounds. And if you would like to watch this podcast, could you watch it if you're listening to it? Yes, you can. Check out YouTube. We're there. And all our podcasts, all of the network's podcasts are on VOCNation.com. So thanks again to Kelly Levy for joining us tonight. And For Dan Calachico, for Mark Viquez, and for Dave Cotney, I'm Paul Baker. Wishing you all close games and safe journeys.